She reads the body like a weathered man, knows where the fault lines they can crack. Hands steady, eyes on fire, delivers life, then climbs still higher. By daylight she is science and bone, by night she listens to the unknown. She doesn't borrow truth from borrowed name. She watches planets burn their own arcane flame. She is the physician of stars, with her feet in the water and her soul on Mars. Counting cycles, breaking scars, midwife for worlds, wherever you are. She doesn't follow the clock or the crowd. She listens to the sky and she listens out loud. Yeah. Braided hair catching solar wind, ice blue eyes that see through skin. She doesn't ask permission to know. She lets the real constellation show. 13 pathways, one long arc. She walks the edge between dark and spark. She's not afraid of the void or flame. She knows rebirth never comes the same. She is the physician of stars. She knows rebirth never comes the same. She is the physician of stars, with blood and myth in perfect accord, holding heaven inside her scars, writing medicine straight into the cord. She doesn't pray to the older skies. She reads the truth written in the sky. She loves the ocean and the thrill of speed. Wind in her hair, no need to plead. Fire in the lungs, lightning in the hips, truth on her tongue, no practice slips. She cannot lie, she cannot fold. She was born remembering what others forgot to be told. She is the physician of stars, delivering futures with steady hands, breaking cages, bending bars, teaching time how to understand. She doesn't dim, she doesn't wait, she opens gates that others call fate. And when the sky forgets its name, she'll still be here doing the same, watching cycles rise and fall, midwife to the cosmos, mother to it all.
Well, hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel. It's Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. So nice to see you all. Let's get those sparkles out of the way. Whew. There we go. All right. Yeah. Isn't that a fun song? Thank you so much, Abby, of Sumerian Astrology, for their Sidereal Rising podcast inspiration of the Dr. Danny theme song. I like it. Vishal's going to put a video to it. So welcome, everyone. Man, I'm so excited to be here. We have something very serious to talk about today. Over the weekend and on Monday, you're going to hear a lot of news come out about our skies, about the energy of Aries and Neptune moving into Aries and Saturn moving into Aries. And we're going to talk about it. Neptune is approaching the equinox point on the zodiac, and that point can be a big deal, but it's really not what you think. So I'm going to show you that. We're going to look at some charts today. We're going to talk about, let's see what else is on my list. Yeah, we're going to read Neptune energy. We're going to look at historical Neptune, where it was when it was discovered, what that means, the synchronicities with what's going on today. And then we will also talk about the last time Neptune was in Aries, what that meant, what happened. We're going to talk about a really cool topic too, just as an adjunct, because I want to give you an example of why Neptune energy matters. And I'll be speaking about Generation X, which yours truly is a part of as well. The Neptune transit for those born between 1982 back to about 1968, 67, very important. So we will look at that. And it's something that's actually left out in modern Western astrology. So that's what we're going to go through today. Shouldn't be here too long. I'm a little tired today, man. I had a crazy call. It was just my phone rang every 45 minutes for about 24 hours. I might have gotten 2 hours where it didn't ring. And it was one of those mornings where every little beep and blip just made me like jump out of my skin. But I got to take a nap today, so that's good. And I had a nice dinner, and now I'm here. We're going to talk about Neptune. Let's see who's here today. We have 7 starting in the chat on this beautiful Friday. We have Lori. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you guys can hear me okay. We have Mary Mystic Lorna. Thank you so much for being here. Heidi Renault and Coach Hadasa. Celtic Thistle Psychics is here. Awesome. So good to see you guys. So good to see you guys. Let's see. I do want to talk to you guys about a couple things before I get started, just really quick. I want to shout out some people, and I also want to give you guys some announcements. I promise it won't take that long. And then we'll get into the issue with Neptune. Okay, because I really want you guys, when you hear this information coming out, to be open to hearing what they say, but also understand what they mean when they're saying it. Words are very important. We'll look at when we look at the discovery of Neptune, for example. Why did they name it Neptune? And does that matter? And it does. So it's super interesting. So we're going to get into all of that. But the announcements. So thing one, Stellar Foundations is starting on February 9th for the spring semester. It's longer, it's stronger, it's also leaner. So you guys will get to sit down with me for 8 office hour sessions. We're just going to practice, practice, practice. You guys are going to get so good at looking at charts and knowing exactly what's going on. Cycles of Light will be part of that. The technical modules will be part of that. All 13 gates are part of that. So everything from Aries to Ophiuchus will be in there. Copy of the manuscript, the 13th sign, focus sessions with me, a 1-year membership to ISAA, who I'd like to shout out as well. Which brings me to another announcement. On Saturday at 10 o'clock Central Time, I will be giving a webinar on 3 very useful Hellenistic techniques that I don't think any astrologer should live without. And also a handy quick calculator to help you do one of those techniques that's actually kind of hard to do. So that'll be at 10 o'clock. There's a link in the description below for that webinar. It's free to register, free to watch, free to be there. So you are welcome. Please come. If you're already a member of ISAA, then you get to see the replay. So there's that. Let's see what else. I just scheduled 2 podcasts for February, so I'm excited to announce those as they get closer. And Yoni Magic, of course, we are closing in on Dark Moon 2, which will be on the 17th of February, and that is an eclipse. And the doors will be closing for open viewing. So that link is also below. I'd love for you guys to go and check that out. Let's see, what else? Shout outs. I would also like to shout out Decode Your Reality. Logan of Decode Your Reality. He has a great new class out called Spotlight. So I'd love for you guys to go and check his workout and consider taking that course. It's actually quite a deal for what you're going to get in there, and you'll learn all the techniques that we use over here for astrology and numerology. So there's that. And let's see. Who else am I shouting out? I'm sure it'll come to me as we go. And I have a special members slide for you guys, so I'll shout all you guys. All right, cool. We have 11, so I say we get into it. Let's see if anybody else new came in. Nope, but there's a link to the workshop. So Nikki and Abby are going to be there with me. If you want a sample of how we talk and when we get together, check out the podcast I did on Wednesday morning on Abby's channel. And the music at the beginning of that is inspired this particular song at the beginning of our video. So let's see. I think that's everything. I think we'll get into it. I'm going to first, let's see. Let me just share my screen because I want to talk to you about one thing that we're probably all going through, regardless of what kind of astrology you do. I know I certainly am. And it kind of makes you feel really like stunned or hyper or super inspired. It just depends on, your physical constitution and how you feel. But over the last week, we had one of the biggest and fastest and longest solar flares we've had in a very long time. And when they're long like that, the exposure is really high. And for these blue and green lines to be elevated during this event is kind of a big deal. You see the red line go up a lot and then it will come back down during a solar flare, but it bumped up all 3 lines. And these just mean that they're heavier protons. And proton storms are, in my opinion, the closest thing that I can connect to solar flares and its influence on biology. So we have trouble sleeping. We have cravings. We have, mind explosions. We sleep for a day and a half, and then we wake up and like it's a new reality. But this is real. So if you guys have been feeling off, not quite right the last few days or this past week since that new moon, this is why. So I'm with you. I feel it. I'm trying to give a Neptune presentation, and the nature of Neptune is just sort of spiritual and all over the place and nebulous. So that might be how this presentation actually goes today. But I wanted to start with that because this is happening to all of us. Regardless of whether we think Neptune is just hanging out in Pisces like it always has been for the last 5 years, or if it's moving into a substantial and influential point in the sky. So there's that. Let's just take a walk outside because, that's what we do. We're true sky astrologers, and it's always a good idea to see what's going on in the sky. So right now we have, let's put the constellations up. We have the moon in Pisces, and it just went over Saturn and Neptune early this morning. How synchronous. I didn't even realize that was happening. Well, I did, but it just turned out to be that way. All right, good. So we're going to be spending some time here in this part of the sky, but I wanted you to see, let me type in Neptune so we can get a lock on it. We're going to lock our sights on Neptune, the planet. Neptune. Search. Weird. Couldn't find it. No matter. We'll click on it like that. All right, so there's Neptune. And do you guys see where Neptune actually is? I'm going to take out the atmosphere so it's a little darker. Neptune's this crosshairs right here. And everything is moving to the left. So the moon is moving this way, Saturn's moving this way, Neptune's moving this way. And there is no way in reality that Neptune can be right here. Not yet. We're just not there. I can show you in the sky when it will actually happen. If you'll indulge me, I'll just scroll the years forward here a little bit, and we can watch Neptune transit through constellation Pisces. And circa year 2040, I want to say, will be Neptune's ingress into constellation of Aries. And it won't be very long. And it may even do a little retrograde back and forth. But this is when right here is when Neptune will be in constellation Aries. So why are they saying that it's in Aries right now? Well, this is a very special point in the sky, I think. We talked about the equinox, shadows, light, and water 2 live streams ago. So if you guys want to check that out, I think it was probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's about the planetary clock and the coming shift. And I talked in there about how they experienced time before they had mechanical clocks. And they did that with water and with shadow and with light. And so when we were in the, northern hemisphere winter, the days were obviously shorter, but they still divided the day by 12. And so the hours were what was shorter. They still moved through their day as if the days were 12 hours in the day and 12 hours at night. And the clepsydra water clock is how they knew that the equinox was coming. And back then, before we had mechanical clocks, the sun was in Aries. So what am I talking about? Let me go to spring. I want to show you springtime, the equinox, and show you, look at that. Isn't that interesting? That is exactly where the sun is on the equinox. Okay, so that's what the equinox point is. Whenever the sun meets up, wherever constellation it's in on the equinox, that's the equinox point. And the equinox point 2,000 years ago was back here in Aries. That's when our tropical zodiac started. And that's why this point is important to them. And that's why they're calling it Aries. Because for them, their zodiac is symbolic. Doesn't matter that that they're actually named after true sky constellations. It's symbolic. It's based on this point in the sky right here. And that's where, if we look right now, let's go to now, and we go to Pisces, that is precisely where Neptune is right now. So it's at the equinox point of the sun. So let me ask you, okay, so I can buy the seasonal deal. I can see how that might give you some accuracy and some energy into the cyclic nature of what it is you're doing. I can see that. I can allow that. But what I don't see is if Neptune, if that's significant to Neptune, right? Does the sun's equinox point on our ecliptic really matter to Neptune? When the equinox point is really mostly just an earthbound, earthling, gazing upward sort of energy. And the astrology we're doing, it is cosmic. I mean, we're looking at actual space. We're using astronomy. We're using science. We're using calculations. And so I'm curious. I don't know. What do you guys think? Because Saturn's here too. Is there some big impactful influence that Neptune and Saturn have on the sun's equinox point when the sun's not even there? I don't know. Maybe it does. But anyway, that's why they're saying it. That's why it's off. That's why it's more of a symbolic calendar that's been superimposed upon the Gregorian calendar. But if you want the actual flavor of what's happening, especially in the next 14 years while Neptune moves through the rest of Pisces, then stick around because we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the past to inform what we are thinking about today in terms of the rest of the Pisces energy. All right, let's see. I do have a presentation for y'all. Let me see. Sonyak says, explains why transits in tropical never really happen in my life. Well, it was really funny. I don't know if you guys know who I think his name is Stephen Judd. He's an astrologer, and he's a tropical astrologer, and he's from the UK. Really smart guy. I love his personality. He makes me feel all warm and fuzzy like I'm at college. He put out a video earlier today about what Neptune and Aries was going to feel like. It was his preliminary read, and he prefaced it by saying, I remember back in the 70s when Neptune moved into Capricorn, and Neptune moved into Aquarius, and then when Neptune moved into Pisces, and every time Neptune moved into a new sign, I had all these hopes and feelings about what would happen, and it didn't. And I said, I screamed at him, even though he couldn't hear me. I said, that's because you got it wrong. Instead, he took it to mean that Neptune was paradoxical, that Neptune was psychological, that Neptune can mean more than just one thing. So we're going to get into that a little bit more as we read the charts and the historical context of what Neptune's about. But I think it's just important to orient ourselves. We need to know where we are in space and time. So, all right, let's get into the PowerPoint. Should I do this? Maybe that's better. I don't know if you guys could see the sky okay or not. Let's do that. Yeah. Okay. That'll look better. Oh my goodness. Just want my bar. There we go. All right. So we are going to talk about the equinox illusion of Neptune. And I had a stylus, but I don't know where it went. Stand by. Might be back here. Nope. Okay. Looks like I'm drawing with I might not need to draw. It'll be all right. Okay. So we're going to hide that, get out the pen, and then we're going to go forward. Okay. So I just want to thank all the channel members out there. I got the list and I tried to put it on a slide. This is not an audience. This is a constellation. And I feel the love from you guys. I honestly, every time you leave me a comment, leave me a heart, encourage me to keep going and do what I've been doing, or if I've moved you in some way, I really appreciate you guys for supporting this work and this channel from the bottom of my heart. So thank all of you so much. Okay. This is Monday. This is I'm sorry for this chart for those of you that follow constellational astrology, but I wanted people that follow tropical to also see this. It's okay to believe whatever you want. I'm not saying believe what I'm telling you. I'm just saying this is what I think and here's why. And so if you study tropical, this chart's really familiar to you. This will be Monday. This will be when Neptune moves into the constellation of, the sign of Aries. And what's so interesting is that all of these angles that we've been studying over the past several weeks, these trines and sextiles and the squares, all of that is exactly the same in the tropical chart. This is exactly what we were looking at in the sky. It's just these are not constellations. These are signs. This right here is 10 degrees of constellational Pisces. So that's what their chart looks like. So this point is a big deal in that cosmology. It's the end and it's the beginning of a cycle. And Neptune, interestingly, was actually discovered in 1851, and it wasn't discovered by sight the way Uranus was. Uranus, they were able to track it on clear nights. They were able to see something moving in their telescope. But Neptune, you couldn't see. But what they did is through the astronomical observations of Saturn and Neptune and Saturn, Jupiter, and Uranus, they were able to sense mathematically that there's some kind of massive gravitational body in the spot where something big should be. But they didn't have eyes on it yet. They just had the mathematical calculations of where this thing actually is. So they pointed their skies to it, they pointed their telescopes to it, and they found it. And they found it in Aquarius, but they found it in a star in Aquarius. This is the astronomical data. But if you look at a tropical chart from 1846, it'll be in Pisces. Or it might be at the very end of Aquarius. But anyway, we're going to look at that chart too. But this is what we're dealing with right now. This is the energy of Neptune in Aries. So let's think about this. What does this feel like? What does Neptune in Aries feel like? Well, let's consider Neptune for a second. So Neptune, in the modern sense, it rules illusion and spirituality. And I feel like if we're going to, and it's actually quite fitting, because if we're going to pretend that Neptune is somewhere else and we misname its location, I think we're going to multiply the illusions, right? Think of it like this. We're all creators. We have a collective energy where we create together. And if we all say we see the same thing, then we're going to see it, right? Especially energetic magic like astrology. This is such this wheel right here. It might look like a construct, but it's so powerful. It's got the attention of billions of people, you see. And so when we're talking about a Neptune in Aries, the astrologer is actually performing, albeit inadvertently, I think, a kind of diabolical magic on the masses, saying we are entering into a Neptune in Aries period. And I think if we're being, again, inadvertently sort of coerced collectively, like, yay, Neptune's in Aries, if we're all being asked to believe that and we project that into what's actually happening, which is nature, which is the so above, the as above. We can see it with our telescopes. We can see it with our eyes. The same calculations that found planet Neptune, because its absence belied its effect. You see, they didn't see it, but it could still be felt. So all these astronomical observations are the same ones we use to see where it is today and to know where it is today and to put eyes and telescopes on it. We've actually had a probe fly by it and send pictures back. Did you know it rains diamonds on Neptune? At least that's what they theorize, because the atmospheric pressure is so thick that when you get to the rocky core of Neptune, it's so pressurized that diamonds can literally fall from the sky. So just imagine like sitting on the surface of Neptune and it's raining diamonds. Anyway, I digress. So are we mass projecting this energy of Neptune onto Aries while it's actually in Pisces next to Saturn, by the way, which, okay, if it was just Neptune alone, it'd be one thing, but now we have Saturn next to Neptune, and Saturn crystallizes your reality. You say, I want to create this. I want this. Saturn says, all right, babe, it's yours, whether you've thought it through or not. He's going to bring you what you want. and you build your own prisons in this life. That's what Saturn's here to do, but he can be a powerful manifester as well. And so if he's creating an illusion for you, what does that mean? What does that feel like? So it's not just an error, right? This is not just a semantical problem, because when we name things, we are giving it energy. We energize that collective mirage, and people start acting out a myth that their sky is not supported. And there's history that actually like informs that opinion. There's John Major Jenkins wrote about the Mesoamerican cultures and how their proto cultures started way, way north in North America, and they venerated the pole stars. They didn't care about the ecliptic. It was the pole stars they worried about. And when they saw their imperishable constellations spinning around their pole star, that was what they focused on. That was their cosmology, right? And as they were forced to move south due to, geopolitical or climate pressures, they would watch and observe as they moved farther and farther south, their pole stars dipping under the horizon. So their imperishable gods began to die. They began to go into the underworld, and they lost the faith. And their civilization crumbled and changed. And so here we are, 24 degrees out of alignment with the actual sky, having this master manifester next to the king of our illusions, asking us to project a false reality of Neptune and Aries. And I think that matters. Let me know what you think. I mean, if I'm making this up, if I'm making a big deal out about it, like, let me know. But I really just feel like this ignition is not really here. Neptune in Pisces is asking us for completion. It's asking us to feel our grief, to forgive, to tell the truth. And Neptune in Aries is going to dissolve the self. And if we act like we're there now, we meet resistance. We meet resistance. So let me do this. Let me do this real quick, just for those of you I just want those of you that do tropical to just have a little taste. Let's just taste it right here. I'm going to put the real sky behind your tropical calendar. This is where the constellations actually are. And I'd like you to observe with me, if you don't mind, how wrong Aries is in tropical. I mean, maybe wrong's a strong word. It's just very misidentified. And if you have this tropical birthday of, I guess, April 21st to May 21st, and they're telling you you're a fiery hothead and you've got all this juicy, delicious sun energy in Pisces, you probably don't resonate with astrology in the first place. You're just not going to follow it. You're going to do something else because it's completely off. Same thing with Libra. You Libra suns in the tropical system, you're Virgos. Same with some of you Scorpios out there. So I'm just saying, guys. Those of you that are tropical Geminis, you might actually be Taurus. And for me, my sun was in Leo, and I became a Cancer sun. And it just resonated so much easier for me. It was like, yes, that makes sense. I'm much more of an introvert, believe it or not. My Mars is in Leo, but my sun is in Cancer. I'm a nurturer. It's what I do. So there's your sky out there. You can see the difference. You can see the dissonance. And what this is, what you're looking at is you're looking straight down through the geometry of a frequency where the waves of the natural world are out of sync with the waves of the human mind collective as a whole. All the humans thinking at once. It's completely off. It's out of resonance. It's out of sync. And I'm not asking people to give up astrology or to give up the idea that there's 12 houses and 12 rays that come out of us like electromagnetic field lines. No, in fact, if you guys want to just go a little bit farther with me, I'm going to take away the tropical chart and show you just the sky. Just the sky. Here's what's happening right now. Here's what's happening on Monday, for example. And I don't know, but I just don't think at this point is a big deal when we're talking about outer planets like Neptune and Saturn. So the case to call it an Aries energy, I think doesn't win, at least not for me. So here we are. We've got this Pisces energy. We still have 14 more years to go. We have Saturn next to it, where it doesn't feel urgent like Aries is about to go off for Neptune. If we do have warlike energy, it might be because the day before is the first quarter moon. Then the moon spends the next day and a half in Aries, in actual Aries. um, Mars and Pluto are conjunct, and they connect back to Neptune and Saturn and to trine to Uranus. And so these guys, when Mars connects this grand architecture that we've been dealing with these 3 planets and with Black Moon Lilith, this could be interesting. This could be like a snap, crackle, pop. I don't know. Maybe. Um, so that we could feel something on Monday because of this close proximity. Any aspects that are being applied. So as Mars moves towards Pluto, you feel it more. So as Mars snuggles up to Pluto, you feel their frequencies combining and canceling each other out and amplifying one another. And so it could mean a big thing for the collective. This happens every 780 days. So again, it's another big reset type of energy. Mars wants to enact the will of the creator, and Pluto wants to transform through purification, through alchemy, through magic, and Mars wants to do the divine will of the creator. So this could be an obsessive need to do something about something else. So you have a hot Aries moon just coming off the first quarter square with Mars conjunct Pluto. If you guys feel a little hot on Monday, that's probably why. So what about the bigger implications of the movements of Neptune, when it was discovered, why we care? I wanted to show you March 11th of 2040, when Mars actually does move into Aries, right here. So this may mean different energy, because when the bigger planets actually move from constellation to constellation, or from personal house to personal house. So if you look at your own natal chart and maybe Neptune moves from the 3rd house to the 4th house, you are going to personally feel a shift. The collective feels the shift when this happens. Okay. So I'm going to talk about 2 different eras. Basically, when Neptune was discovered, what's happened over the time frame between its transit to Pisces and the last time it was in Aries, and maybe what we can expect with the rest of Pisces and what we can actually expect in 2040. Let me see if I have another slide here. No, that's the end. Okay. So we get out of there. And here I'm just going to kind of think about it and riff with you guys. I'm going to show you my show notes. But I want to get things set up here. All right, we have 17 in the chat. Awesome. Let's put you guys in here while I get stuff ready. So we'll have that. Yep, I don't want to do it that way. Okay. So let's see. H Rain ZZZ says, when Neptune is mislocated, the illusion multiplies. Eerily describes how I'm feeling about all the world's leaders at Davos this week and what's happening in the world at the same time. Isn't that interesting? That all the world's leaders are at Davos this weekend, right before the so-called shift upon the equinox point. I'm not saying it isn't real. I'm just saying it's an unnatural magic where the real magic is right above your heads. And I think that we have a powerful influence when we use astrology. And we have to be careful when we're making predictions. Soniac says, I'm a 4-planet Sag stellium, and now that I'm learning true sky, I'm a Scorpio Sun, Scorpio Mercury, and Ophiuchus Mars and Venus. Oh yeah, that's pretty powerful. I see you, beautiful soul. Ophiuchus energy is intense, and there's no explanation for it in tropical when you have Ophiuchus. It's not their fault. Like, I don't think that Ophiuchus energy really started waking up anyway until we hit 2012. And I think that's when people were like, something's wrong, something's off. Oh, is Lady Spellbreaker here? Hello, beautiful. Thank you for being here. Celtic Thistle Physic, a psychic says that's why I share your chart wheel and channel to get the truth out. Like the 100 monkey effect. Yeah. I don't have to be the one that goes viral. It can be one of you all or somebody that you influence. One of the podcasts I'm doing, it's with Ascend the Matrix with Chris King. I don't know if you guys know who that is. I guess he was into tropical before and now he's doing constellational. He wants to talk with me. So we're gonna have a little conversation. I think it'll be pre-recorded. I don't know actually, but we'll see. It does matter. Yes, yes. All right, you guys, awesome. Let's see if this works. I just want to sort of riff with you about I want to show you our agenda for today. I'm doing things a little differently today than I normally do. I was going to put together a nice presentation like I normally do, but yesterday I was so busy and by the time I got a chance to do it, I was just too tired. So we'll do this guy. And that should look like okay, that looks good. All right, so we've already done this is the life of a content creator. So I've already done my opening hook with you. We've already done our announcements. I talked to you a little bit about the discovery of Neptune. We'll go into that a little bit more. We've looked at the tropical and real sky slides. So we will talk a little bit more about the discovery of Neptune, and then we'll get into this. Let me show you the true sky. So this is Athen Comenti's software, truesky.masteringthezodiac.com. And you can do a free trial, and then there's some limited things you can do if you just want to use it for free. But if you do the subscription, you can do all kinds of cool stuff. And it's really good for beginners because if you want to like read what, Saturn conjunct Neptune feels like, you can just go on the aspectarian, click it, right? Saturn conjunct Neptune structures spirituality, disciplines compassion, and materializes dreams. This is what I'm focused on right here. The materialization of your dreams. And if you're living in an Aries dream, when the universe wants you in a Pisces dream, I don't know that that's for your benefit. I don't know that that actually helps you. But here's the date when Neptune was discovered, September 23rd of 1846. And I will draw your attention to, oh, you know what? Let me do this. Show you. There we go. And look at this, Saturn and Neptune at it again. I mean, wow, what are the odds? Like 180 years ago, that when Neptune was discovered, it was conjunct Saturn, creating dreams, bringing things into reality. So, let's see, where are we? Yeah, we're there. All right. So the last time Neptune was in Aries, you guys want to hear about that? That's pretty interesting, actually. So this was the years 1875 to 1884. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to go forward a few years, year at a time. We're just going to watch Neptune and see what he does, she does, and how she moves, and we'll note the year that it actually happens. And this is what I do, guys, with this software. I just move the wheel and see what's moving, see how fast it moves, see what it means. Okay, so the last time we had a Pisces Neptune was 1856 through, and even the tropical history, they it's almost like a spell game because they're cherry picking, and while people were actually really going through this, whether conscious or not. So what did we say, 1856 to like 1884, I want to say, is when we get there. 1875. Yeah, 1874. That's when Neptune moved into Aries the last time. Now, the arc that I discovered when I was thinking about the history and things that have happened and the major influences of our collective philosophy, mindset, ethos, and cosmology, when we think about Neptune, Neptune's kind of a big deal. Neptune actually is a big part of that. It's part of our spirituality. It's part of our creativity. It's part of our ability to release beliefs. Where this part of the chart up here with, Sagittarius and Capricorn, it's really hanging on to your beliefs so hard that you create reality. Where here in Pisces, it's kind of like about letting it go. And if if you're in this place here with Neptune, hanging out, creating things right now, do you want to create Pisces energy or do you want to create Aries energy? I don't know. But there was definitely a symbolic shift in the undercurrent of the human subconscious in the years leading up to 1874. Because once Neptune actually entered Aries, it was almost as if the spiritual currents of our collective coagulated. The New Age movement, for one, the Zionists, communists. It's as if things that were floating and forming under the surface finally harden, bubble up, or coagulate like blood. And think of like the Terminator, that the sequel one where that newer model was made of that liquid metal. It's kind of like that, where everything's kind of shattered, but it knows where home is, and that connection creates bigger movements, especially around spirituality and politics. And this was a very big time. The New Age author movement, all kinds of books. I mean, you guys can look it up if you want to, but this to me aligns kind of with the unconscious spirituality of our collective. And over the years after, from 1875 onward, you see these things, cult leaders, you see, more things being started and sticking around. So what are we to do today? Well, let's move up to today. Let's get into today's energy. Here we have, once again, Saturn and Neptune conjunct at the equinox point of the sun. Is there a subconscious undercurrent here where something's waking up? I think it is. I think the influence of Saturn here has shown us how powerful we are at the deepest depths of our psyche and in the deepest thoughts of our mind. We literally can create from that place, and we're finding that out. But it's almost as if we're in a simulation when these two are together in Pisces. You can try things out and the consequences aren't as harsh. So I guess if you want to simulate an Aries thing where you start a spiritual movement, or you want to take over and conglomerate and things like that and initiate things, you can do that. You can do that safely. So I don't disagree with them, but I don't think it's all going to be bad either. I think we still have a lot of time here to develop the spiritual undercurrents that are going on in this generation's time, as Neptune does actually complete the cycle once it crosses the threshold of Pisces into Aries. And that'll be 2039 and 2040. So if you want to start a movement now, if you want to start a cult now, it's really not going to stick until 2040. That would be kind of my lesson for the coming years as Neptune actually transits through Pisces. You're not going to be able to really grab on to anything spiritually. The beliefs that you had a year ago, you'll have to kind of let them go sometimes. I've certainly done that. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that I'm like, that was never a thing in my life. And now it is. And that's okay too. So very interesting energy. This is where we are now. Mars is about to transit into Capricorn, so we'll feel a shift over the weekend with that. But I don't think we're going to get a big major impact from Neptune moving over the equinox point. So, so Neptune's warning label. Again, I think we touched on this a little bit. And we kind of have been as we've been thinking about these topics, and then we'll get into the starseed generation. But I just want to make the point that remember, the reason I'm bringing it up is because we are co-creators. We are creating our reality. And astrology is powerful magic. It is powerful medicine. It allows you to take a perspective, a higher perspective. It allows you to see yourself slowed down and expanded onto the night sky so that you can analyze it and wonder at it and, um, discover your connection to source. It was never meant to like scare you. When you work with magic, you should divine short and enchant long. Meaning, I can tell you that over the weekend, we're gonna feel a little bit of an aggressive, obsessive energy. It's gonna feel hot and fiery because of that Mars-Pluto action. We're gonna feel that. What are you gonna do with it, though? That's how your chart plays out. Some of you might bury your head in the sand and hide. Some of you might take all your clothes off and run outside naked with a torch in your hand. Some of you may have hot arguments with your partners. It just depends on where it lands in your chart. You can get even more specific to see where it might happen, where you might feel it. Like for me is 8th house. So I'm in it. I've been in it. So anything that comes through there, it'll be like, oh, finally, it'll probably feel good. It'll probably feel cathartic. So hopefully you feel cathartic over the weekend, that you finally released something. Something's finally, taking hold or clicking. That you don't have to be so obsessed anymore. Maybe you'll feel that after Mars passes over Pluto. So let's see. All right, yeah, let's talk about the star seeds. What do you guys think about that so far? I mean, I don't. Again, this is all my opinion. I don't really. I don't claim to be, an expert on human psyche or anything like that. It's just the things that I see. So. Mary Mystic says, my goal right now is using and flowing with the celestial cycles in my chart to create on purpose for the highest good. That's the ideal, at least. Lorna, you're so right. I mean, that's literally what you do. When you enchant long, you look at your transits ahead of time and you say, man, I got a nice juicy Jupiter transit coming up. I'm going to position myself in a way that I can take the best advantage of that. And ooh, Pluto's getting ready to square something not so nice for 3 years. What should I work on or avoid or cut away or destroy or transform? That'll help me get through that in a much more effective way. Where you respond instead of react. Heather says, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the weekend goes. Lady Spellbreaker says 2040 is when Eris moves into Aries. So it'll be a Neptune Eris combination moving into Aries. Beja Florosa's here. He said the mind makes it real. It absolutely does. This right here. Vieja Florosa. There is a I think it was Mark Twain. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but it's easier to fool a man than to show him he's been fooled. I mean, I scoffed a bit at the end of Stephen Judd's video because he said, we're moving into a time where we need to be open and willing to hear the other side and willing to hear different stories. I thought to myself, right. I bet if he sat here on my channel, he would be very, very, very steadfast against thinking about the sky as a way to read astrology. He would just be in his charts. And it's a shame. It's a shame that astrologers have stopped looking up. But I'm hoping that you guys and the people you influence and the people that you influence will show it. Just live it and show people how to get back into sync with our sky. Oh, there isn't a generation more affected, in my opinion, you guys, with the mismatch in astrology, the mass media lying to us, the belief and disbelief in authority and big structures taking care of you. All of that has been broken and repaired for our generation. We literally went from analog playing outside to connecting the generations that will never know what that's like. because they're 2 years old and they've got a cell phone in their hand. You know what I mean? Not that that's a bad thing. It's just different. It's just different. There's been rapid change, and our astrology points to it. It's so fascinating. How many of you guys are Generation X? Anybody from like 68 to 82? Because you'll be a millennial if you're 82 or later. If you turned 18 after the year 2000. And you baby boomers, oh, you guys have your own pathology too. And I'm gonna do another video on the baby boomers. I haven't forgotten you guys. I just it's just been calling to me to check out this generation and to really focus and highlight on Neptune's position. But yeah, Bella, that's amazing. It's what we do. We make it real. We make it real. It's 24 degrees off. Pisces is 42 degrees, and Neptune is currently at 10 degrees constellational if you use the midpoint boundaries. So it still has 32 degrees to go. It's got about 14 years before it will leave that part of the sky. And so 0 Aries, or actually, if you guys are part of the fellowship, I believe I've got a spreadsheet up there that my friend Julie Sherwood made that has got the tropical degrees correlated to the sidereal degrees. So like if you know you're, a 0 Cancer sun and tropical, you can look at and see where that would be in constellational, or you can just run a chart and stop looking at tropical charts. You might have to relearn your chart a little bit, but it's okay. It's okay. The relearning is the fun part. Shakti Veda's here. Hello, beautiful Sue. Elite Savior says, can you do a report on asteroid 259 Althea? Maybe. I'd have to figure out how to find it. I don't believe that the software that I have will find that for me. Beth is Gen X. Heidi is Gen X. Lori's Gen X. Kotedasa. Heather Rains was born in 83, but she has a resistance to be called a millennial. Well, maybe. Soniac 63 is boomer. You're boomer. But who made up the label, right? I mean, there's that too. So you have to take that with a grain of salt. And personally, when I show you what I found, you guys are going to be like, no, it's astrology. And you're going to want to dig deeper into your own astrology and say, okay, this is the generation I belong to. Because these outer planets, they move so slowly. And so Neptune's energy, while it can affect you personally, what is the collective field that it's playing in? And do we influence its effect on us by not, acknowledging where it actually is? And I think there's something to that. All right. All right. What am I doing next? Okay, let's see. All right, let's go to the chart again. I'll share my screen in a second. I'm going to go to the year 1968. Perfect. You can include the Neptunes in Libra too, I guess. Anyway, let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, so all right. I think you guys can see that okay. Okay, so we are currently in 1968, and I want you to notice the location of Neptune. And Neptune moves this way most of the time, with the exception of its retrograde phase. And it takes 168 years or 64 years to go all the way around. So about 14 years in each one of your houses. Okay, so if you were Cancer rising, Neptune would be in your 4th house. If this was your birthday, January 23rd of 1968, Cancer rising, Neptune's in your 4th house. All right. This pathway right here, what we're looking at here between Libra down to the galactic center. This is called the burned path. And you can look this up. Astrologers would say, okay, or astronomers would say, whenever the moon's moving through here, Venus, Sun, they're just in a state of like burning away. They're getting rid of all the excess and purifying. And indeed, this movement through Libra is that energy. Libra is going to the halls of Ma'at and weighing your heart against the feather. And if your heart is heavier than a feather, then you do not get to join Horus and Isis and Osiris. You have to go back and, make your heart less heavy. So this is the hall of truth here. And Neptune was finishing it up. These used to actually be the claws of Scorpio before Rome took over the zodiac and gave it this constellation. So this whole part of the sky, let's look at it in stellarium. Let me move the time. Ooh, right here. You see how it's all just sort of clustered together? So when something moves along the ecliptic through this space, it's being influenced a lot more than just a couple of scales, right? There's a lot of heavy energy. It's approaching the galactic center. It's approaching Antares. It's approaching Ophiuchus. So this is where Neptune was in 1968. And if you'll just watch with me, Neptune's movement over the years. We have this gradual descent into the energy of the galactic center. And then in 1982, we crossed the galactic center. Now we have this Neptune and Sag energy. So pretty much millennials onward don't have this dark, burned path energy. Those of you with Neptune in late Libra, Scorpio, or Ophiuchus, raise your hand if you got a little bit of dark shit going on with you. I mean, seriously, when I think of the people that I've read, the people that I know, the kids I grew up with, this generation, they're like star seeds from a place of pure love and light. And when they get here, they're like, whoa, holy smokes, I was not expecting this level of duality and terribleness. And we were also the first generation that was like inundated with mass media and electrons to consume as young people. Video games, arcade games, the movies. We were being influenced from a very young age on what was right, what was wrong, what was normal. And we knew right away that something was really wrong here. And so we did a lot of drugs. We were precocious sexually. We did what we wanted. Some of us even ended our lives. Some of us still struggle with the scars of growing up with that energy over there. There's a lot of darkness. But it's because we know the contrast already, which is why it's so freaking heartbreaking sometimes to be here with the Neptune in Libra, Scorpio, and Ophiuchus. So this is the baseline of Generation X. We're also super creative. We also have an amazing level of discernment. Like maybe not in the beginning, but because we've been awakened to the spell that was over us, it takes a lot to tell us something false. You guys probably, Generation Xers, probably didn't even mess with astrology because you knew it was fake right off the bat. Like it just didn't resonate. Well, maybe, okay. But then no, you got into other things. But maybe now that you see that your real sky shows you this part of yourself, you will come back and look at astrology. So that's my take on Neptune Generation X. We're very creative as well. We have amazing imaginations. We preceded the generation who the millennials and onward. This Sagittarius Neptune energy is like, I don't care what religion you are. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what country you call yourself in. Like you're divine and it's cool. Like, so be you, be Jewish, be Buddhist, be Catholic, be whatever you are, and it's all good. It's almost this graduation level energy as Neptune moved into Sag. But those of us with this, we are afflicted sometimes. So I feel you. I see you. Another thing we had to deal with, Generation X, is Pluto moving through Virgo. So let me back it up again, because I was making you look at Neptune, but I want you to look at Pluto. So I believe Spica's somewhere around here. And really, that's when Virgo becomes intense. Like, Virgo's kind of voluptuous and wonderful until she gets to Spica, and then the death begins, the death process begins. And so then, we go through the Hall of Reckoning, and then we go through the death, and then the rebirth into Sagittarius. Okay, so Pluto is starting that path when we are in our 60s, in the 1968. It actually entered, I want to say it entered Virgo in 1968. So our entire generation got to feel like that transformation of the Virgo energy after spending time in Pluto. So 1967 back, 1968 back, your Pluto was in Leo. Totally different kinds of obsessions than Generation X. The kind of things that we're obsessed about is the code, why things work, why things break, why people lie, why we are the way we are, why are our mothers so strange, why is our family so strange. Like, this is what we've been doing in Virgo our whole lives with this Pluto Virgo placement. And you guys in the millennials, you get some of that. You came into the world with Pluto and Saturn together, so we'll talk about you guys too. We all have our issues, but one of the nice things about being a Gen X right now, my friends, and I'm going to use my chart as an example just to show you how cool it can be. I'm going to pull my chart up. And then I'm going to put transits up, and I'm going to take out the progressions. And what you'll see here is the natal Pluto in Virgo in the 5th house. And then you will see Pluto finishing my 8th house. So I just spent the last 15 years with Pluto moving through my 8th house. And it's real. And look, I survived. I'm fine. But one of the things I wanted to show you about what's so interesting about our generation is that this movement of Pluto from here to where it is now in Capricorn is too fast. It's way too fast. Let me do this. Let me pull up Pluto's orbit. We'll do it here. Let's take out all these distractions. And I want you to, do you see this gray line just coming out of nowhere? That's Pluto's orbit. Okay. So it's an outlier. It's weird. And it takes 248 years to make this loop. And its fastest phase is about to come to a close. So if it were a perfect circle, like Venus, for example, Venus's orbit is almost a perfect circle, then it would take, by the time Pluto trines Pluto natally, it would take 81 years if Pluto's orbit was perfect. But because we spent the last 50 years with Pluto speeding through Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Ophiuchus, and Sagittarius, instead of moving 1 to 2 degrees per year, Pluto, from our perspective on Earth, mind you, this is from our perspective, has been moving 3 to 4 degrees on the natal chart, which is these little tick marks. So instead of moving 1 degree and then a year passes, it's been moving 3 or 4. So what we get, guys, is this precocious Pluto. We get a transit that we should have to wait for until we're 81 years old, but we get to have it when we're like the end of the 40s, early 50s. Wow. Talk about magic. Talk about finding your power. Talk about not putting up with anything authentic or untrue or against who you really are. Amazing. Amazing. And I congratulate all of you. And those of you born 76, 77, this is coming for you as Pluto moves a little bit closer into Capricorn. Another thing we're getting, guys, is the Neptune trine Neptune. So remember our tragic natal placements of Neptune? Well, it's moving over your natal Neptune in a trine fashion. So you have Neptune trine Neptune, Pluto trine Pluto. It's really amazing. It's really nice transit, and then you might have Uranus, in a Phoenix angle to Uranus, which is already very Phoenix anyway. So that's where we are, guys. That's where Generation X is in terms of their astrology. I think those are the key points for why we as a group of souls have certain characteristics that are undeniable. And again, I'm cherry picking too. So if you disagree with me, that's fine. um, but I think the placement matters. So the whole point of this presentation was Neptune is not where we say it is right now, or at least don't believe the false news, the fake news that comes out over the weekend. And if you're so inclined, try to get into some discussions. I'd be curious to see if we have a 1 in 14 year opportunity to try and convert some folks to the real sky. They don't even have to like stop learning anything, they can still use the same archetypes. It's so beautiful. It's just instead of tuning the dial to a fuzzy frequency, where you're like you can sort of hear it. Now we're getting the clearest picture. Now we're turning the dial and we can hear the full audio, the full song of the stars, resonating with our hearts and our bodies and our minds and each other. I'm telling you, it's really quite stunning. How my life changed for the better in many ways when I realized what my true sky was. So yeah, I didn't forget any topics. Awesome. Good. Well, that was my presentation. If you guys have questions, maybe thoughts about your chart. Yeah, Heather, sorry. No, I love my mother, but yeah, our mothers were so strange. They really were. And they were the boomers, and they had a whole host of issues as well. Yeah, I can't either. It's amazing the span of or the spectrum of reactions you'll get when people realize it. Like most of the time, you get sort of, oh well, no, I don't understand it, or I don't care. Um, but when someone clicks, when it finally clicks, there's tears. There's like shock and awe. There's elation. There's fear that they've been doing it wrong for so long. A whole gamut of emotions. But what comes through is the real you. And when you see that, when you see the real you and you realize, in the most loving way that you put the quarter in the video game box and you wanted to come down here and play. So you did. And I'm as I get older, the more and more I'm leaning towards it's all just a game and you're here to play it and you wanted to be here and you wanted to see what the challenge was like, right? I mean, some of the video games we played back in the day were hard, right? I mean, you spent a lot of quarters or you put blisters on your thumb trying to get to the finish level or to beat the game. And then you get angry, like you throw your game controller. Well, I did when I didn't beat the level, but some of us did that. We threw our game controllers. Why? It's just a game. It's just a stupid game. No reason to break things. So, and that might not land well for people who, really experience the things that they experience. But I challenge you, for those of you with difficult things going on in your life, to just ask that question to your soul, to spirit, and say, what is the lesson I'm learning here? And when reality opens up to you with the answer, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. So yeah, I think that's all I got today. Lori says, my mom was strange. Kaki says, it's a fantastic time to be alive. Yes, it is. I've been feeling so, overstimulated with that proton storm and the lack of sleep. It really is quite stunning. Yeah, pretty much anybody with a Pluto Uranus combination in their chart, like the conjunction that's through Leo, if you guys have that, then you are probably a boomer. That's really your signature. And the Neptune in Libra, you guys are actually really the peacemakers. You don't understand why people have arguments or wanna fight or wanna get hot over a disagreement. You just don't even get it. Yay, thanks, Heather. Thank you, Sana. Did you guys like that song? I think we'll play that as the outro for you guys. And, probably next week, hopefully, I'll have a video to go with it. It'll be, more, visually pleasing than the restream options I have. So, yeah, channel members, thank you so much for supporting the channel. I love you guys so much. Join the Fellowship of 13 Signs. That's free support. You can come over there and chat with us and get notifications about videos and classes and all kinds of good stuff and meet other astrologers. Don't forget to join us on Saturday at 10 a.m. with the ISAA Hellenistic Technique webinar. We're going to learn 3 techniques and practice. It'll be about 2 hours. Should be good. And then stay tuned for upcoming podcasts. Join Stellar Foundations. Join Yoni Magic. This is where I'm going this year, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope to see some of you out there and around, my loves. All right. I'm going to take this down and put this over here. And then we'll go into the other screen. And I'll play that song for you again. And I'll see you guys on the next live stream.
She reads the body like a weathered map, knows where the fault lines they can crack. Hands steady, eyes on fire, delivers life, then climbs still higher. By daylight she is science and bone, by night she listens to the unknown. She doesn't borrow truth from borrowed name. She watches planets burn their own arcane flame. She is the physician of stars, with her feet in the water and her soul on Mars. Counting cycles, breaking scars, midwife for worlds, wherever you are. She doesn't follow the clock or the crowd. She listens to the sky and she listens out loud. Yeah. Braided hair catching solar wind, ice blue eyes that see through skin. She doesn't ask permission to know. She lets the real constellation show. 13 pathways, one long arc. She walks the edge between dark and spark. She's not afraid of the void or flame. She knows rebirth never comes the same. She is the physician of stars. She knows rebirth never comes the same. She is the physician of stars, with blood and myth in perfect accord, holding heaven inside her scars, writing medicine straight into the cord. She doesn't pray to the older skies. She reads the truth written in the sky. She loves the ocean and the thrill of speed. Wind in her hair, no need to plead. Fire in the lungs, lightning in hips, truth on her tongue, no practice slips. She cannot lie, she cannot fold. She was born remembering what others forgot to be told. She is the physician of stars, delivering futures with steady hands, breaking cages, bending bars, teaching time how to understand. She doesn't dim, she doesn't wait. She opens gates that others call fate.